We're down here this week at the Iowa Ag Expo. This is the third largest ag event across the nation. It draws people from multiple states, and it's just a great opportunity for us to be here, put our clients' properties on display, meet people that are interested in the market and buying some land. And good week for us. We're excited to be here. It's a 3-day show, action-packed, 3 different levels, and equipment on roughly 7 acres, I believe is the number I'm drawing that comes to mind anyway. But it's a great opportunity. If you haven't been, you should check it out. Can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, so we just started about 3 months ago, so we're kind of getting used to the spray drones and stuff. We did training down in Florida, so we're actually a dealer through HSC, UAV. So they sell a lot of different drones. Specific to us, we're going to be using their spray drones. So what we're going to do is we bought 2 of the big ones, which are 22 liters, and then 1 of the little 16-liter ones. So we're going to be able to swarm them. So we're looking at doing 76 acres an hour. So about 760 acres a day is what we're looking at. Yeah. What's kind of unique about these is that they can actually fly at night too with lights, and they're all autonomous through the laptop.
I see.
So what we're looking at doing is doing the dew. So they say sometimes you can get better bushels per acre and those kind of things if you spray when there's already moisture on the corn and stuff, the leaves and so forth. So we're going to be doing some of those experiments with our own crop by waking up at 4 a.m., which will be so fun, but getting the spray on the dew and see kind of what kind of yields and those kind of things we can do from that.
So who do you see as like your customer? Like obviously Central Iowa, enormous farms where you can get a spray rig in it pretty easy. I would think wouldn't necessarily be your ideal customer, or am I wrong?
We're kind of looking at, we're in Minnesota right now, is where our business is from, so we're kind of looking at branching out a little bit, getting some dealers under us, doing training and support at our place. But we're looking at taking over kind of the helicopter realm just because it can be really expensive for farmers. If you see up here, we have some return on investment things. So let's say you have a 2,000 acre and that's how much you pay, the helicopters and whatever. We can get you a drone in less than 2 years. You can pay for the drone and then they can save you all that money too.
Wow.
So we're kind of looking at making it more of a return on investment for farmers.
Sure.
I think something that makes the drones really special too is you can seed with them. So you can put a granular on them, you can do CRP, you can do winter rye, you can do a bunch of other things for them.
So you can buy the same unit and then retrofit it with a seeder instead of a sprayer.
Yep, and that'll come with like the package and that kind of stuff. But
cool. Well, thanks for talking with us.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
it.
Yeah, I appreciate
Enjoy
it.
the show.
Thank you. You too.
Here, what's the patent, or I guess what's the technology on this one?
Well, this is the Harvest Sweep. So the Harvest Sweep is one of the first products that has ever come out that actually has fixed the shatter loss issue.
Grain loss, yeah.
We started the project in 2011, filed the patents on it, launched it in the late 2013.
Okay.
And what it does is it's a 3-component system that between the deck plates, the chains, and the impact sweep pads that allow us to retain 85 to 90% of all the corn shatter loss without causing other issues, feeding issues, trash issues, things like that.
Sure.
It's a 3-component system that between the deck plates, the chains, and the impact sweep pads that allow us to retain 85 to 90% of all the corn shatter loss.
Really?
And then we also have the impact sweep pad, we call it. It's an impact reducer, and it's got a vertical sweep, and that's actually what sweeps the kernels up to the auger trough, as the video shows.
Sure.
The chains had to be modified to fit those impact sweep pads. Also, we had added some performance features to help feed in adverse conditions. So the kit not only catches the corn and gets it into the auger trough, but it also increases your feeding ability under adverse conditions. Also, we had added some performance features to help feed in adverse conditions. So the kit not only catches the corn and gets it into the auger trough, but it also increases your feeding ability under adverse conditions. We actually had the university come out back in 2013 to do some shatter loss tests, and this is what we found. Shatter loss is based on moisture typically. Now there are other factors where stress, growing season stress, comes into play, but mostly it's how fast the corn dries down, and moisture. Anything 22% and over, we were seeing 1 to 3 bushel any given time. We'd stop the head, pull the trash up, and do our square counts. But when we got down to that 17 and a half and under, we started seeing 3 to 5 bushel any given time.
Really?
And so, most guys are averaging those out. I mean, conservatively, we see anywhere from a 2.5 to 3.5 bushel per acre gain.
Sure.
Over the whole season. Yeah. Now, this last year, like you had mentioned, people got their corn planted early, it matured faster, harvest was sooner, hotter weather, drier weather. The shatter loss this year was much worse than average. And some of those guys were losing 8 to 9 bushel on the ground.
Wow.
And we can gain 85 to 90% of it. So I think naturally the farmers are going to grow because they have to grow. But I think the biggest thing is another factor of the ROI is that we used to have to go out at 25-6% because we were worried that we weren't going to get it in before it was 11 or 12.
Right.
Now we don't do that.
Push that back.
Yeah, because the cost of the drying well overtook, what our thought pattern was.
So now, rather than buying a new combine to combat that, you can just push a few percentage points and reclaim it, hopefully here at least.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we don't control the shatter. Mother Nature does.
Yep.
And all the variables we have no control over, and it's just going to happen.
Sure.
And also with the new varieties now, it seems like they're drying down faster and faster than they did 2 or 3 decades ago. Yeah. And that's a good thing for us. It saves us money in drying. It's easier to handle the corn. But again, this is one of the problems that's starting to grow, the shatter loss.
Cool.
We're 99% on the system. Spent 3 years in R&D through all kinds of different conditions and bend sizes. We actually just launched it here a couple weeks before harvest.
Yeah, barely ever use them these days.
As a 5th generation farmer, I mean, we know where the problems that are hard to fix, the hard issues that cost us a lot of money. And we know where the problems that are dangerous.
Sure.
We had friends and family that had a tragedy, and that's a pretty hard thing when they lose a generation in their farming legacy just because of clumps or ice in their sump, right? And so corn shatter loss. I mean, we have drones flying in our fields today, but we can't figure out how to keep the corn in the head.
Right.
And this is the tangible part of it.
Yeah.
This is what's truly
the part you can
us.
see.
Exactly.
Physically see. Yeah.
The Bend Sump Pro. I mean, we needed something that was going to be 99% effective, something that was going to take care of the issue and work every time. And we just after the incident that we had 3 years ago, I mean, this is why that product exists today.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, it's dangerous to get in the bends. It's taking lives, and on top of it, just the stress alone.
Absolutely.
It's flame technology using propane-powered torches, and what they do is it's a heat that is used to kill weeds from the backyard to the field. So as you see here, we do have handheld torches.
So this would be similar to like your handheld model then?
Right, yeah. That's just like for your backyard gardener, or on the farm, just around fence rows, trees. The handhelds will be using vapor propane.
Okay.
When you get into our larger equipment, they're going to be a liquid torch.
Okay.
So we pull liquid propane from the tank, and there's a vaporizer at the end of that torch where the heat heats up that tube, and it by the time it gets back up to the orifice, it's vaporized.
I see.
So you won't. Yeah, if you run a handheld torch, at a high pressure for quite some time, you're going to see it freeze up on the tank and drop in pressure. When you don't want that in the agriculture when you're out there doing crops.
So when you think about the mode of action from like a chemical application standpoint, there's chemistry involved that allows the chemical to select for the weed and not the plant, or the plant has resistance to it. How does the flame distinguish between the plant? How does it avoid killing the plant and only kill the weeds?
Yeah, and that's all of, it's all heat direction. On that system, just say like our agricultural system, that leg is, just say corn, you're running in between the row, and those torches are, you want to direct that heat to the base of the crop. where the cultivator's not going to pick up, and it's flaming underneath the crop. It's hitting the stalk, but it's not going to hurt the stalk unless you would sit there and stop your tractor.
So it's the intensity and then the time variable of how long the flame's on the plant.
Right.
If you're moving at a decent pace, you're not going to hurt the plant, but you'd kill a small weed that's just sprouting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
No, appreciate you guys stopping by. Yeah, absolutely.
So basically here at Buck Bribe, what we're focusing on is delivering an ease of access and ease of application products for hunters. Traditionally what we're doing when you work with hunting and you have low pH, you're having to deal with 50-pound bags of lime, take those out to your property, upwards of 2,000 to 4,000 pounds. We do the same thing that Ag Lime does with 2.5 gallon jugs of this product right here, Advanced Cow. If you're looking on the hunting side, it will be labeled as Buck Bribe. Now what this means here for you is about 3 gallons of that product there is equal to 2 tons of ag grade lime. On top of that, it's fast acting. Limestone takes around 7 to 9 months to break down into the soil. This product here starts working immediately, usually full swing in about 10 to 12 weeks. So that takes out having to go out to your plots 7 to 9 months before. You can go out, you do your tilling and disking, your planting, you put down your calcium to raise your pH and your fertilizer all in the same day, you're good to go. End of story. And you just let that plot develop and start drawing in those big bucks. On top of that, this liquid calcium is a catalyst nutrient for other nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, zinc, boron, coal. So what it's going to do is it's going to take those nutrients in the soil and transfer them to the plant. Every animal, whether you're talking about stockyard animals, cows, horses, deers, rabbits, whatever, they know where the most nutritions are in the plant, right? And they're going to draw to that area. So the more nutrition we can get in those plants, the better at the end of the day for your plot. That's a basic rundown for our Buck Bribe liquid calcium product. It is a concentrate that you mix up 5 to 1, generally around 20 gallons to the acre once you mix it with water, and kind of just spray it and forget it.
Does it work with like your basic sprayer, no modifications?
No modifications. Now, with this stuff here, it is a no-till product. You want to do the tilling and disking beforehand, and then you come in after that, you put your seed down, you put this down right on top of the seed. Also with the calcium inside this product, we mix in humic acid, trace minerals like zinc, manganese, coal, boron, copper. That helps out with the organic matter in the soil, and it also is a seed starter. So it really helps with those early development stages for your seed. And yeah, you can.
So do you want it to contact directly to the seed, or can you go through and cultipack? Say if you have a small seed like clover, and you cultipack it and then spray it, would it still be effective, or do you need it to be on the seed?
Yes, sir. It is still effective because calcium is about 10 times heavier on an elemental level than any other element. So we do this on top. It's going to naturally drop down to the root zone. And when it drops down, it's carrying that humic acid, those trace minerals, and all that stuff. They coat the outside of that seed. It protects it from things like weather burn, nitrogen burn, and it also is a seed germinator. So it really helps you get a lot more germinated seeds on that property.
Cool. That's awesome. What's the name of the company again?
We work with Buck Bribe. And you can find us at Buck Bribe, BuckBribe.com, and we work under Agritech International. We're a subset of Agritech International agricultural company.
So you guys are Vermeer, obviously based out of Pella?
Yes, sir. Yep. We have majority of our manufacturing is done in Pella, so you might be familiar with our industrial side there as well. But yeah, we have 8 or 7 plants there that produce our equipment for ag and industrial.
Cool. And this is what you're standing in front of it here. Talk us through what this piece of machinery is.
Yeah, so this is a ZR 1200 self-propelled round baler. So ZR is zero radius.
Okay.
It's a 200 horsepower power unit on there on our 605N baler.
Okay.
So it's our standard baler that we've had out for several years. The particular baler on there is a cornstalk baler. Which just there's some attachments that allow it to bale corn stalks faster and put up more bales in a day. But basically this power unit is designed to run this baler. So you think about a tractor that's designed to run many implements. This power unit is designed for that baler, and really what it does, if you think about, what's the efficiencies you get from a zero-turn lawnmower compared to a tractor mowing, just mowing your lawn, you see a lot of those same efficiencies and maneuverability out of this machine. There's basically 4 hydraulic motors that drive the machine, 1 on each drive wheel. There's a separate motor that drives the baler and a separate motor that drives the pickup. So that allows you, we can actually pull the net wrap in a little faster, speed up the machine, slow it down when we dump the bale out, slow our belts down so we're not scuffing that. And the big thing about this machine, 2 things. Number 1 is the ride quality. So so maybe it rides a little better. Is that really a big deal? But what makes it different is the positioning of the cab. So you think about, where's the cab position on a tractor today? Behind on top of the rear axle, doesn't give you a lot of room for that cab, even if it's suspended, a lot of movement. We suspend this cab up here under this 4-point suspension system, and that allows us to get so much more travel out of that cab and absorb those rough conditions that you're in the field. So the maneuverability is, if you think of a zero-turn lawnmower, very similar. So when we're in baling mode, which is up to 12 miles an hour, we can turn on a dime. There's no drive line or anything because it's hydraulically driven. So when you're making that turn at the end of the field, you can just turn on a dime. Odd shaped fields, you're just much more efficient in baling it. So at that point, these cylinders, and we basically dump the oil out of these cylinders, and allows your front wheels to caster in field mode. So let's say you're done and you want to head down the road. At that point, you switch to the transport mode. At that point, these cylinders lock back in place, and they almost turn into tie rods, and you steer the machine from the front, because it'll go 34 mile an hour down the road. And
you probably don't want to be doing
we don't want the casters to be spinning at that time. So visibility is phenomenal. We have 2 cameras on the machine. There's a camera right here that's pointing at the pickup. So when you're in field mode baling, the pickup camera's pointed at the pickup. As soon as you crack the tailgate open, it switches to the rear camera, and you see the bale come out. You get a view of that bale if you got net wrap damage or whatever, or a problem, right away. As soon as you close the tailgate, the camera switches back to the pickup, and you're off to baling again. So just real quick on the automation piece, so when you get full bale buzzer, the machine will come to a stop on its own. You'll go to the tie cycle. You can either quarter turn left or quarter turn right, or dump the bale out the back. It will raise and lower the tailgate, eject the bale, point you back to the windrow, and you're pushing 1 button, the go button, to go again, and it's fully automated. So just takes the fatigue out of the operator on a long day. Operators continually tell us when they have a big day of baling, they get out of here and they can actually go do something else. So we got a customer up in Perry that owns one, and he's a custom baling guy, bails several thousand bales a year, and he actually went from 2 balers to 1 baler, and still feels he's getting more done with this machine compared to his 2 balers before.
But it's, we see enough support now in what we're doing, and where, the markets are helping and those type of things. As we look at 2021, a big driver for us is technology. That's always a driver for everybody in the industry, but we're especially not pushing it. We're just, developing more ways for the farmer to connect. And more ways to count every bushel and count every pass across the field. And one of the things that we talk about is every pass matters, and whether it's a tillage pass or sprayers or planters. So you couple all those things together with the technology we have that's able to do pinpoint accuracy with spraying.
Can we look at that? What's
yeah.
this thing here?
So this is individual nozzle control.
Okay.
So you can control droplet size, you can control rate, you control, like when you're going through the field, it doesn't matter, it doesn't care what speed you're going, it will do, I wish this was
Coverage,
one.
it'll compensate.
Correct. Yep, it
for the
compensates
coverage.
for everything you're doing. It has turn compensation, so traditionally when you turn a sprayer, the inside gets more spray, the outside gets less. This can control that, so nozzle by nozzle, we're able to control overlap better and better product placement.
So that technology kind of, I don't know if it started, but you see that in the planters, right?
Mhm.
Like planters compensate for turns and whatnot. You're seeing it now in the sprayers.
Correct. And this technology's been around for 24 years. John Deere's been in it about 5 or 6. So it's been a huge add for our sprayer business, that's for sure. We have 25 stores across Iowa. About 55 salespeople out running around doing things. So yeah, we're kind of the central third of the state.
Right.
Yep.
And as far as the breakdown of your business, you do not only sales, but also service,
Yep.
obviously.
Service, sales, parts, technology support. We've got a golf and turf division. We've got a compact construction equipment division. We have some metro stores around the state that are full-blown lawnmower and small tractors and
Power
gators.
sports,
Yep.
things like that.
Yep, yes, and we have a power sports division as well. So,
So I once upon a time I heard through the grapevine John Deere spends about $2 million a day on R&D. Is that
probably right.
You've heard that?
Yep,
Yeah.
that number doesn't sound off.
Yeah.
And it, you think it's a lot or not enough at times, and for us, we wanted to showcase all the 8RX is a new addition to the 8R tractor lineup this year.
Okay.
So
what's the 8RX? What's the X, right?
So it's 4 tracks.
4 track
is what it is. So started out with wheels 20 years ago, brought 2 tracks on, and then this last year brought the RX into it.
So I'm familiar with like the benefits of going from wheels to 2 tracks. It's the stability, compaction, reduction, things like that. What's the driver on going from 2 tracks to 4?
It's a heavier tractor. It's probably another 10 or 12,000 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So you start to be able to do more with a tractor like that. You can do some deep tillage with it. You can be more versatile.
Okay.
And it has excellent compaction. There's very little compaction. It has unbelievable pulling power with 4 tracks.
Okay.
And being out wide, it's so stable, and our guys in the hills are really finding some benefits to it because it is very wide and it's nimble, and actually the thing will turn just a little bit shorter than the wheel tractor,
really?
Which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's been an excellent ad for us. We demoed it all this last year, and great feedback. I think people are gonna, it's more of an investment than that tractor than a wheel tractor, but I think people are gonna latch onto it.
Do you see the tracks more beneficial to any particular region, or is it pretty universal?
Pretty universal. Yeah. If people are thinking about compaction, they're thinking about tracks anyway. That can be in flat black, north central Iowa dirt, or it can be in western Iowa hill country. So.
Yeah, most of the time I hear compaction come up when I'm talking to people that are in the no-till, business, and they're typically hillier country where they don't want to till stuff. So
correct.
That's why I asked the question.
And I think when we're not doing recreational tillage in central Iowa, there's benefits to having less compaction anyway. So it's been an excellent ad.
Good. No, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us do this and
For sure.
talking with us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by and doing that.
Oxbow, we're about a 60-year-old company. We've been always in niche market, specialty market. We build pea combines, seed corn harvesters, grape harvesters, berry harvesters, coffee harvesters. We were the largest distributor for Miller St. Nazians with the Miller high clearance sprayers for about 20 years. And then at the time that New Holland bought Miller, we decided it was time to launch our own line of application equipment. Behind me is the 4103. It's a 400 horsepower, 3-wheel, high flotation machine, powered front wheel. It's the only powered front wheel floater in the market. Cab is fully suspended. It's actually got a race car suspension that holds the cab. Tremendous ride. The liquid system, 2,600 gallon liquid system, so it's the largest liquid system in the market. 90-foot aluminum booms.
Wow.
One of the things that we're debuting here is we have our quick change system for guys that want to run a dry box and a liquid system.
Okay.
So it's a hydraulic operated set of jacks. It picks up the liquid system. We pull the chassis out from underneath. You have a similar set on the dry box.
Sure.
So back in underneath, set it down on, take the jacks off.
So it's a universal platform and interchangeable tanks.
Yes. Through the years, we watch co-ops and custom applicators that do a combo unit like that, and they're using cranes to pick systems off, or mix shift lift systems, and we wanted to give them an easy, safe alternative.
Sure. Cool. So some of the other equipment, this is your fertilizer. I saw on the other side you've got a big sprayer.
We've got, on this other side is a 7650 sprayer. It's a 400 horsepower it's got a 1,600 gallon tank. We do 90 or 120 foot booms. It utilizes the aluminum booms from Specialty Enterprises out of Wisconsin, which is a tremendously stable, well-built boom. We also offer the 7550, which is a 350 horsepower, 1,200 gallon tank. Basically the same platform or the same chassis. We utilize a walking beam suspension, which is pretty unique to us in the market.
What's the benefits with that?
The stability side to side, and then with the walking beam, if you go through uneven ground, your wheels just follow the contour of the ground, and it doesn't affect the ride of the chassis. We use the walking beam with hydraulic dampening, so it gives us a much better ride.
I see. What's the difference in application between like a sprayer like that and a broom sprayer? Obviously, that would be when you've got crop standing, and this maybe not. But is there a case where one farmer would need both?
Yeah, there is a possibility. The thing with a machine like this is high capacity, putting things down like nitrogen, high speed application. And there's certain areas of the country where you can't physically get all the nitrogen and everything put down, or your inputs put down prior to planting. So you actually are going on some of it when the crop is coming up. And with a unit like this, you can run over corn that's spiked out of the ground and not do damage to it.
And that's just because of the size of the tire.
The size of the tire and the flotation. The other thing that the front wheel assist really plays into that, because it gives it gives the whole machine a lighter footprint by powering that front wheel and turning on the ends of the field. You don't berm and tear up crop.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. So where could people find more information about Oxbow if they want to know more?
You can go to www.oxbowcorp.com or just www.oxbow.com. We've got service centers throughout the United States. We've got factories in New York, in Clear Lake, Wisconsin, and Linden, Washington. And it's really neat. We build some things that a lot of people have never seen in the market, such as pea combines. A lot of people have never seen a pea combine.
Yeah. A lot of internal R&D, I assume, as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, so I'll kind of...
So Formation Ag is based in Colorado?
Yeah, so Formation Ag is based out of Monte Vista, Colorado, and they do all sorts of field equipment. So everything from harvesters to grain carts, and then they work in the decortication side, which is how South Bend Industrial Hemp, which I'm from Central Kansas, we connected with Formation Ag because we bought their decorticator.
Okay.
We build harvesting equipment for hemp, for CBD, for grain, for dual purpose products.
Okay.
We make decorticators that break the hemp stalk or flax or anything else down into fiber and hurd. We also may have some grain cleaning equipment and things along that nature, mostly focused on hemp production.
I see.
We also handle like live bottom trailers for potatoes, etc.
Oh, okay.
But most of our work is in the hemp industry.
I see.
So when you grow these plants in the field, and you look, and this is for fiber and grain.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't realize about the CBD or the hemp industry is you have CBD, which is grown, and you guys see that in bushes. You know, it's a whole different thought process than fiber and grain.
Okay.
Fiber and grain, you're going to be at a very high population density. You're going to treat it more like a conventional crop: corn, soy, wheat. In that fiber crop, you've got two parts of the plant.
Okay.
You have the inside woody substance, which is your hurd, and then you have your outside bast, which is your fiber.
Okay.
Now,
Are these both hemp?
this is all hemp.
All hemp.
And this
okay.
is all done with a decorticator.
Okay.
And so you go through this machine, it breaks it down, it separates out the hurd from the fiber. And then from there, the hurd gets sized and sorted. This is kind of more like kitty litter, that size. That's really what this is being sold for right now.
Okay.
This is used for animal bedding, hempcrete, hemp insulation. This is also going to that hemp engineered manufacturing products. Not this company specifically, but hurd.
Sure.
And then a combination of fiber is also being made into wood products. You see it in bioplastics. That's another great outlet for this hurd. It's starting to really pop up everywhere.
Okay.
And the thing that you can notice the difference between this fiber, this is a dual purpose. So this farmer came in and he's growing for grain and fiber. It's a little bit coarse. You can see the quality of it. This
It's very softer.
correct, softer, because it is grown for fiber. This is going to be marketed towards your textiles. It's going to be a higher end fiber.
So like a cloth, it could be woven into materials like yarn
exactly.
or anything else.
That's exactly
Like
what
wool.
it's used for.
Interesting. As far
You know,
as that goes,
we're not at the point where it's cheaper because
it's new.
It's
which
new.
Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of the fiber and even the hurd we're having to source from France, from the Netherlands, from China. And so now that American farmers are getting into this, it's becoming more and more economical.
Sure.
And you're seeing this is kind of the bottleneck. So no farmers are going to put this in the ground until they have processors and manufacturers set up to take it. No manufacturers is going to drop multi-million dollars unless they have a consistent and steady supply.
Right.
And so that's how we ended up buying their decorticator, because we saw it as a need in our area.
I see.
We wanted to grow the industry.
And then your area is in Kansas.
Yeah, Central
Okay.
Kansas.
I see.
We literally are 8 hours east of Monte Vista, just straight across.
So, in where you're at in Kansas, you're seeing farmers that are interested in adopting hemp and growing hemp, and you also have processing there, or would they then have to ship it?
We are a processor.
You are the processor.
So
okay.
yeah, we started growing in 2019. We have a CBD grow. I'm a research crop scientist by trade, and that's just where a lot of my clients were funneling developmental chemicals, variety tests, etc. But our passion is fiber and grain. My husband and my brother-in-law are fourth generation farmers, very much into large-scale production agriculture. We didn't see CBD as a viable option for large-scale production agriculture.
Sure.
There are some ways that you can do that, but it's a whole can of worms by itself.
It's different,
yes,
yeah.
we saw fiber and grain as being successful. We have feed yards. We have the logistics for
The number of uses are probably much broader
and
diverse.
because of our location and it's a prime spot. Kansas can really be successful in that area. The Midwest in general can be
I would
successful.
think, when I think of Kansas, I think of like wheat and oats and barley and like some of the more fiber type crops anyway, so I would imagine that this would be a kind of a natural fit as a fiber growing area. Is it irrigated land or is it dry land?
So
Mix?
eastern Kansas is a lot of dry land. Then you start getting to central Kansas where I'm at, and it's a mix, but irrigated is the prime land, obviously. And then western Kansas is a lot of dry land wheat, a lot of dry land sorghum, and then you have your irrigated circles, but that's going to be for corn production. Once you get out to where Corbett's at and Colorado, that has to be irrigated. They just don't get the rainfall that we get. And you can
It's
kind
on the east side of the mountains. So.
Exactly. In order for feed yards and, you know, cowboys and things like that to feed this, they want a consistent supply.
Right. Yeah.
No animal likes changing up their feed rations, you know, mid-rate. You're going to lose your rate of gain and things like that. Just our feed yard alone, with one cycle of cattle, with a 70-day cycle, because we're a backgrounding yard, I mean, we would need 224,000 pounds.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
Scalability, once this breaks open, look out.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very successful.
Yeah. The avenues are certainly there, and plenty of them, it seems like.
A lot of bioplastic facilities are reaching towards this to start replacing more of that plastic market. It's going to biodegrade faster.
Sure.
And it's better for the environment. It's just, there's a lot of different avenues, and more are showing up every day.
Cool.
Okay, so Formation Ag, you can find us at formationag.com. I'm here with Corbett Hefner, and his title is VP of R&D. But super great guy. He can connect you with anybody that you need to know, well connected within the industry. So if you need seeds, really start to finish, he can help you out. If you want to learn more about us, we're South Bend Industrial Hemp, and if you can Google us, southbendindustrialhemp.com, and our website and our processing information is on there as well.
So you're with Shivers.
Yep. So Shivers is a grain drying company. Been around for coming up on 60 years.
Wow.
Down in Corden, Iowa.
Okay. Family-owned company then?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Cool.
So yeah, a couple of years ago, but in 2019, they came out to Oregon to experiment with getting into hemp drying.
Okay.
Put in a dryer out there. So I'm actually from Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I ran a contract drying facility out there, so that's where I met the Shivers crew.
I see.
Really nice guys, worked well with them, and then as they started to expand their hemp program, they brought me on to be kind of like a hemp product specialist for them.
Okay.
So now we're getting into hemp drying a little harder. We got 1 unit up in Iowa and 6 out in Oregon right now currently. But so our dryer is for CBD biomass, so it's going to be available, you know, for extraction.
Okay.
If you're going to grow hemp, generally you're going to be looking at 3 avenues, so grain, fiber, or CBD extraction.
Okay.
There's some overlap. Some people try to do, you know, maybe seed and fiber, but for the most part, if you're going to grow for CBD biomass, you're going to stick to that avenue.
Okay.
And that's what our machine's for. So, you know, for this, if you're going to get into growing CBD biomass, you're going to find some genetics that are going to be, you know, a good ratio of CBD to THC, so that you're compliant with that, so you're not going to be hot, as they say.
Sure.
There's a lot of different ways to plant. I mean, people are still kind of trying to figure out how to mechanize it. There's a lot of good options out there now, and people are getting their hands on some good stuff for sure.
Cool.
And then, you know, eventually you're going to harvest it. Same thing. There's some options for mechanization. Some people opt to do hand, but you're going to have to dry it. You know, it's got to go to storage before it can go to extraction. So that's where we come in. We basically just took what we know as grain dryers and modified it a bit. Raised the plenum up, so the floor, we can work underneath it, and it gives a chance for the air to mix a bit, so we're not going to build any static pressure really, so our bed depth is going to be, you know, 2 feet or less.
Okay.
And then we're going to run for maybe 24 hours, use the machines inside to spread it, level it, unload it, stir it, and then unload it through the chutes in the middle and put it into bags for storage.
So main differences, walk through those one more time. Main differences between, say, like a grain bin and this bin, it's specifically designed for hemp, would be what? The floor depth is 1, or height?
Yeah, the first thing most people notice is that floor height is a lot higher, right? And then there's a couple doors in that are purpose-built, you know, one for loading, one for unloading.
Okay.
And then the internal mechanisms each serve their own purpose. I mean, the core of it is similar to our level dry system, but modified quite a bit. So
I see.
The whole center vertical, you can raise that up and down depending on your bed level. One of the machines is good for stirring and leveling. The other is good for helping load and unload. Cool. So people, when they sell it, you're actually getting paid, they call it points per pound.
Sure.
So however many points of CBD, say if you're at 10% CBD and you're getting $1 per point, you're going to get $1 per pound.
Sure.
Or $10 per pound,
$10
excuse
per pound,
me.
yeah. Okay.
So keeping your moisture content up at like 10%, you can get a little more value out of it than if you dried it down to 0. If you're getting paid on points per pound like that.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about like the industry, what you know about it. So it seems like you know quite a bit. You say you have how many bins here in Iowa now?
We just have the one for hemp, yeah.
One for hemp.
Yeah.
Are you seeing, what kind of demand curve are you seeing nationally, I guess? Not just Iowa, but nationally.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up. More Texas is coming on pretty hard.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Tennessee are doing a lot.
So regulation-wise, it's state by state?
Yep, every state's going to have their own. The only state right now you can't do anything in is Idaho.
Okay.
Everywhere else, it's got some rules.
So federally, they've made they've separated between or distinguished between THC and CBD.
Right.
They have that threshold. So basically, any state, as long as you're only doing CBD, you're legal except for Idaho. Is that right? Okay.
That would be correct. They've
So
got
pretty
programs in place. So currently, they're still allowing states to operate under like their own pilot program. So a lot of states choose to do that. Here soon, everybody's going to have to adopt some of the USDA rules, but they keep putting them out and changing them a little bit. So they're trying to make it better for the farmer.
Sure.
So I'd say that it's been a challenge for a lot of farmers. So trying to make sure their crop doesn't go hot and be able to get it out of the field in time. So
is there a process, or is it more on the genetic side? Like what controls when you say going hot?
Going hot. I would say mostly genetics. Some people can attribute it to stress, like drought stress or heat stress might cause your ratios to go a little off, but I think mostly it's genetics. Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
talking to you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
CBD Prime is a seed company. We sell feminized seeds.
High CBD.
High CBD. Good
full spectrum oil production and for flower use, for flower consumption.
Where's the? So this is what it looks like. This is the flower. So I have no idea what I'm looking at. This is all new to me. So educate me on what this is.
So this is hemp flower, and it's legal at 0.3 THC. And this probably is somewhere between 14 and 20% CBD. People like to smoke this because it doesn't get you high like weed does with high THC. But it gives you kind of
brings down anxiety.
It brings down anxiety. It helps with pain, especially joint pain, structural pain, body pain. And it also gives you a head change, but you can still go to work and do your accounting job. So people like that. And then the oils obviously have medicinal qualities and values, therapeutic values. And then kind of the number one thing that we do, which is kind of a niche thing, is we select for flavor, So we're looking for exotic flavors. Terpenes are what's in all these different plants, lavender, all these things. Cannabis is really unique. You can have a cannabis plant literally smell exactly like grapes.
Really?
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's completely natural. It's not sprayed with any kind of thing. It just smells completely like grapes. It's
kind of
incredible in that way.
I would equate it to like Milo or sorghum, like size-wise. Is that kind of where guys, when they're looking for, say, a large-scale operation, or is there equipment on the market to help planting, or is it a lot of manual labor?
Yes,
or automated?
It depends on how you do it. There's different models. Hemp is still really labor intensive, which is kind of what hemp for oil production specifically, not cooking oil, which is these guys right here.
CBD.
This is CBD. It is labor intensive. So you can drill it. It's going to have a lower germ rate. What's been the industry standard is you put it in flats with like a seeder, and then you irrigate, you sprinkle water on it, grow up the flats, and then you put the flats on a vegetable planter, like a tomato planter, and you drop in the starts. And that's the best way to get, a completely full field. Because you got rain, you got all these things, and the issue with the industry, especially in the oil industry, is, up until last year, these seeds were going for $1 a piece.
Wow.
And so just out the gate, you're cost is so high. That's
Yeah,
over.
it's worth spending a little bit of labor to make sure you get the germination.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
over $2,000. If you're paying $1 seed, you're $2,000 an acre, right there, or $3,000 an acre. The price of seed has gone down. Feminized seed takes more to produce than just a corn seed or something like that. You pay $2,000 an acre, you're crying. You know what I'm saying? So
more exciting. What is like a say average and then like big in terms of scale? Like for your customers who are buying the seeds, are they 1,000 seeds, or is it like you've got thousands of acres?
Average is probably between 2 and 10 acres.
2 and 10 acres, okay.
Is the average. So
and you're running like 2,000 to 4,000 seeds per acre.
Right, 3,500 is what we suggest.
Yeah.
Per acre.
And then what's say like just crazy right now, that where the market is today? What's like the biggest you know of?
The biggest what?
Size of farm. I mean 1,000 acres.
Oh yeah,
but,
yeah.
1,000.
But it's I would never advise someone to do that. I've done 200, and it damn near killed me.
Really, just the manual labor aspect.
Yeah, it's such an undertaking, especially because of again it's not like corn. It's
the process hasn't been fully flushed out.
Let me change it. CBD Prime. They can go to the website.
Definitely something.
CBDPrimeseed.com.
Big thing is the adoption is still very labor intensive.
CBDPrimeseed.com. Cool.
Yep.
Phone number and website right there.
Nice. Thank you guys.
What's your farm? We only farm on like 12 acres.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
And you grow, what do you produce for? So I'm just learning from the show today that there's 3 avenues: the fiber, the seed, and the oil, right?
Yeah, we're going for the CBD. That's what.
Okay.
So everything that we farm goes into these products. So we've got tinctures and soft gels. And you take those orally.
Okay.
And then we've got pain salves here, extra strength and regular strength.
Okay.
This is a grooming pomade. You can use it in your hair for beard maintenance.
Okay.
And we have different lotions, body butters, hand creams, lip balms, and face masks.
Nice. But you own the company that's presenting these products.
Yep.
I see.
Yep. And
so this is your product.
My partner is Aaron. He's over there. So we're the 2 guys out in the field doing all the farming and.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then when we're not farming, then we do a circuit tour and try to help educate people on hemp and hemp products. We have a variety of stuff. So all the hemp wood hair. Around the corner, we've got hemp towels, hemp socks, hemp backpacks, a hemp briefcase made out of plastic, hemp plastics. They're buying all.
Or they buy the material.
They're getting the material. It comes in a 5x5 by 52-inch long billet.
Wow, that's got to be.
It's got a little weight to it.
That's got to be heavy, 52 inches.
So then they get that in, and it's just so that's kind of in between work.
Yeah. So kind of reminds me of the consistency of like a plywood, but more dense.
Yeah,
a
like
lot
almost
more
like
dense.
a particle board, or whatever. And then they have to impregnate it with resins and stuff in order to work with it. It's really hard to work with.
It's kind of pretty, really. Like that's kind of different.
Yeah.
And I imagine depending on how they process it, you probably get different grains and structures.
So this would be your face cut, and then this would be the rift cut.
Okay.
So you could see that you could see your herd would be the white, and then your strands or the bast in there.
Yeah, you can see it. It's compacted here, and the layers. Yeah.
So they have to impregnate it with a little bit of resins in order to work with it, so it won't chip and shatter. When it's in this form right here.
So you guys buy the blank stock and then manufacture the products from that?
Yeah.
Cool. And what are people generally seeking out CBD products for? Like these pills, what would people be looking at these for?
A lot of things. It's anti-inflammatory, so you got arthritis, that type of stuff. It's for anxiety, pain. We've had people who had broken bones and take them instead of their pain medications. They'll take these instead. Everything from like Parkinson's, and we can't claim health benefits, but sure. But everything
that's
from
why
Parkinson's
people are
and
coming to
epilepsy
them.
and arthritis and I use mine. I use it before I go to bed. It helps me sleep better at night.
Well, it's definitely an interesting industry. I appreciate you talking with us. What's the name of your company again?
Salt Creek Hemp.
Salt Creek Hemp.
And
you have a website people can go to?
SaltCreekHemp.com.
Okay.
And then hemp engineered manufactured products is the manufacturer of all the hemp wood.
Okay.
And then we have Hemp Home Styles is the distributor of the products.
Oh,
so
okay.
hemphomestyles.com would be the
that's where you could go to find these products.
For all these products. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And what it is supercritical CO2. We take the gas form of CO2, compress and heat it to the point where it becomes supercritical, at which point it is liquid and gas at the same time, indistinguishable.
Okay.
So that's our solvent. You run that through whatever your input biomass is and pull out your essential oils, rosemary, vanilla, we got mint. We've been doing a lot with CBD and hemp.
Sure.
And once you release the pressure, the beauty is that CO2 is right back to a gaseous form like we breathe. So there's no solvent left in this. You open it up, that CO2 is gone. The majority of the equipment uses ethanol, butane, hexane, and those require remediation at the end. Like nobody wants to ingest hexane, at least not that I am aware of. On top of that, our process with the pucking is because of the pneumatic press. We have a cold press combined with supercritical. So your waste product is then pelleted into these like nice little pucks. Majority of equipment you have to mill it to 100, 200 microns. 0 milling required here. If you've seen milling equipment, there's dust all over the ground. That's profitability wasted. We cut that out of the step completely. We sped up the extraction time, and we alleviate any need for solvent, residue solvent, like to be removed on your final product. So your oils are a lot more shelf stable. You know, you can't keep hemp flower sitting in your barn for 6 months. It'll get moldy and then you're out. Whereas the jarred oil, I'm not gonna say indefinitely, but you've extended your time frame until the market conditions are where you want it to be. So we have 2 different units, the 32B, which can do 32 pounds an hour, and the 500B, which can do 500 pounds in an hour. So on just a 16-hour day, not full 24-hour cycle, you can get upwards of 8,000 pounds done in this equipment. If you add on a conveyor system for auto feeding, so our video is showing manual feeding because we wanted to really just show the simplicity, but if you add the conveyor system, you essentially could have one guy running this, you know, all day, as opposed to a lot of equipment. It's like you need to have someone pretty fairly knowledgeable to be there and watching the parameters. Sure. This thing, set it, forget it. The pneumatic press will make the seal and get you into supercritical within seconds. Once the extraction's done, pops out, and the puck is released, and you're good to go for the next round.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yep. No problem.
Nice to meet you. And